5 tenants that's evergreen, that's continually will deliver you profits in terms of cash flow and growth. Where do you find them and what are they? Everyone wants to know the evergreen tenant property to invest in right now in the commercial property space, and I'm going to share with you in this video. The reason for that is there is GFC, there is pandemics, we've seen it all in the last 10 years. What's around the corner? We don't know, but we want to still continue to invest, right? As investors, you want to make sure that you've got cash flow and you've got putting that in your pocket and you've got growth coming up, right? Even if it's not today, it might happen the next 2 or 3 years. So what is the right property to buy? How do you position yourself so that it's evergreen, willable, generational wealth for your family? Well, let's start. Number 1, animal type services. So your vets, potentially they might do products for vets. They might do supplements. They might do any kind of animal services. Maybe they are delivering it to home. Maybe it's something you have to visit. Maybe you're ordering online and going to pick up offline. A warehouse like Pet Barn, vets. All of those things are evergreen. Why? Because the industry is a $14 billion industry, and Australia is one of the largest population of pet ownerships around the world. We have over 60% of people who own pets, and that's cats and dogs. So this is the fastest growing industry and it's evergreen, and people actually statistically spend more money on their pets even during GFC periods when they can't afford to eat. They're still keeping their pets alive and not surrendering them for emotional support, right? So pet industry, animal services, it is an evergreen number 1 out of the park. Beats allied health, beats medical, beats all of those things because of the emotional attachment people have to their pets, right? Number 2, it's allied health, not your medicals, not things like, I want a medical center, I want something that is a surgery, none of those. It's allied health, your chiros, your physios, people who do your blood works, any of the supporting services, occupational therapies, all those rehabilitation, all of those services are set to boom in Australia. In fact, they were the largest growing employment sector, right? Between 2013 to 2022. It went up by a whopping 37%, right? And it was accounted for over 50% of the employment growth over that 10-year period. So what does that tell you? We are an aging population. As we age, we're going to need more allied health. We're going to need your dentist. We're going to need your podiatrist. We're going to need your chiros. We're going to need your physios. We're going to need anything that's allied health. Apart from just seeing our doctor to get a script, we're going to be seeing all of the other supporting allied health practitioners on more of a weekly and fortnightly basis than we see our doctors for scripts on a quarterly basis, right? So if you think about it, you see your cardiologist, you see your medical doctors, you do your checkups. That might be every 3 months, every 6 months, every year. But you might see your chiro once every 2 weeks, once a week, right? So they are set to boom. So they clinics, when you go to visit their clinics in a commercial property space, they are actually just pretty simple clinics, right? They only have a bed there. There's literally almost no fit out, but they're always in demand, always busy, and they're typically not a one-man band, 2 or 3. And now we're starting to see more chain stores all around Australia of these kind of allied health. They're set to boom and continue to grow as we go into the aging population, right? That's number 2. Number 3, it's trade services, tradies, right? Your plumbers, electricians, carpenters, you name it, any kind of trade, your builders, right? Your trades are the people that are the hardest to find. 43% of the population have said they find it really hard and they struggle to find good quality trades that turn up on time, that charge reasonable prices, right? So what does that mean for you as a tenant? That means you're buying an industrial property that is not your 70 square meter industrial little shed, a little hole in the wall. No, that is you're buying something to service a tradesperson that they can do some work in. They maybe do a little office. They may be able to do some invoicing. They might keep their tools in there. They might be able to park their truck in there. 150 to 250 square meters is a sweet spot, right? None of these small stuff, the over big stuff, too big for them, right? That is what the market is looking for. And there's tradies are raking it in at the moment, and they're as secure as an allied health tenant, right? Because of the demand out there, right? And if you're in rural and regional areas, particularly tradies probably are worth more than your medical tenants because they're so hard to find. Number 4 is your government-backed services, right? They're government services like reskilling. So things like max employment, help enterprises, any of the things that help people in the community get back into the community, get reskilled, get back into the workforce. has been a boom ever since COVID, right? It has grown exponentially. And in fact, its growth has been somewhere around 14.5% in the last recent years, purely because of so many people, so much technology coming to the market, so many people needing to reskill to get back into the workforce. Plus, we've got the lower socioeconomic class where they're needing a lot more skills, didn't have the access to education. For whatever reason, they've fallen out of the system. They need help, right? These government-backed services are typically the most secure in office spaces. Guess what? Office spaces or retail spaces. So the two spaces is not popular, but they're definitely all secure in those places, retail and office spaces, right? And what they are there is that they've got government grants for particular projects. And because of their particular projects, they need to be in an area that's low socioeconomic. So if you want to go to a high-end area, these are not your type of tenants, right? Your government type tenants survive the best in lower socioeconomic areas where the area is still rough, where the people are still earning next to nothing. There's still government housing around. These are the areas that these tenants thrive in because they get heaps of grants and lots of their clients are there and it's easily accessible. So these type of clients are typically in office spaces, typically in retail spaces between 150 to 200 square meters. And that's the sweet spot for them, right? And you might dislike office spaces. You might don't want to get into retail, but these tenants are as secure as gold. Look, they might take short leases of only 2 years because their funding's every 2 years and they go along different funding, but they have multiple projects coming in, right? So you have to work with their funding, but they do tend to stay at a space once they're there for a very, very long time because their customers need to come to them, especially if you have disability services. Once they're there, very, very sticky. 20, 30 years, they're there for the long term. They don't leave unless the building is totally dilapidated and dying, right? So very, very secure tenant. Number 5 and last tenant is your professional services. Did you know that accountants was one of the fastest growing sectors or areas during the COVID, right? Everyone wanted to see the accountant. Everyone wanted to get the COVID grant. Everyone wanted to see what's happening with their business. Everyone wanted to restructure. Now that trend has continued on and it's continued on to financial planners. It's continued on to more accountants who help people to restructure their businesses. It's continued on to businesses who do R&D grants, businesses who help get traineeships into companies. And it has expanded all into those areas of professional services, right? And that has transformed that industry. And it has actually had a really good growth, consistent growth of close to 10% year on year, right? And what does that mean, right? That means that your wealth planners, your accountants, and then, on the side, your lawyers and any of those assistant type of professional services. And we can throw marketing in there because marketing has definitely come ahead as one of the preferred tenants after COVID. Before COVID, no one wanted a marketing tenant. After COVID, bang, everyone wanted a marketing tenant. But guess what? These tenants are in office spaces, right? They're in office spaces. You might go, well, I don't want an office space, but these tenants are secure, right? Yes, they might be working from home and remotely. A lot of them do travel to their older clients, right? But they want a base where all of their planners come to, a base where they can meet their customers. Kind of think about it as a bank. Bank has a mobile lending division, but they also have an office space where people can come in and actually meet with their clients, right? So this is what the wealth and the financial and professional services are eventuating moving towards. And they're very, very secure and they're run by people who want their younger team to be in the office, right? So what does that mean to you? It means that you can get an office space and have a very, very secure tenant in terms of professional services, a financial planner, accountant, maybe an architect, someone who's in the engineering field, but all around those professional services where they really are getting really good customers coming in the door and solid business to back it, right? So let's have a look at our top 5 and see where they are in terms of commercial property investment, right? So we've got 1. Animal services, your vets, pet barns, and anything that to do with animals, right? So where are they at? They're a retail, right? Vets are a retail tenant, right? In essence, right? They need ground floor exposure. We really haven't seen many vets. It's upstairs, second floor, right? Ground floor where they have operations, they can have all of these stuff, right? That's where the tenants are, right? The tenants like to be ground floor. They like exposure because they can advertise, because people want to know, they can see straight away that they do pet services. They want to be able to have operating theaters, consulting rooms, all of those things. And once a vet is in, Very, very sticky. They stay there for years and years and years and years. In fact, in the whole time I had my dog for 17 years, we've only went to ever one vet, right? And they're still there today, right? Even though my dog's passed away. They were there before my dog was there. They're there after my dog had gone. Things like pet barn, pet domain, all of those things, pet care, dog washing, all of those things, they are a little bit bulky goods showroom type, right? So they're a mixture between, they're not so much focused on the industrial warehousing, but as to public, right? Because remember, your public is your customers. So they're more retail based than they're anything else. Number two, when we look at allied health, they're also retail based, or they're actually office spaces, right? So retail, or the second level, is where they are in a CBD or metro area. They tend to be second or third level, and with some exposure, or they tend to be in a hub where you see other specialists as well. But most importantly, you're going to find them ground floor retail, right? Podiatrist ground floor retail is a must for a lot of their aging clients. Chiros love ground floor retail because, again, their clients, when you're going to physios, you're going to a few other different things, it might vary, but most of that is ground floor retail. Office space can be easily converted to retail space converted back to office space to cater for your professional type tenants, right? Which is number 5, right? So that's number 2. Number 3, we looked at tradies. Obviously, they're in sheds and warehouses, probably in an industrial park, but you've got to look for that there is access. So access to other roads easily to get out, but also turnaround bays, parking areas. So you're not getting in amongst other traffic so that you're not stuck in there. Because one of the things tradies hate is when they need to pull out their truck, they need to go, right? So that's what you need to look for if you're targeting that type of tenant, right? And of course, then we have government back. Government back like to group together, right? So if you're a low socioeconomic area, you see a street, they're all full of government type tenants, and they all service one type of sector, one type of area. And this area is all lower socioeconomic. This area all have the needs been defined. It's got the funding. And that's why they're there, right? They're there because it's already predefined and they know they're going to make money from their customers coming in, make money from the fact that they're located there and they're continuously getting grants, right? And that's why it's so important to look for those areas, and they're all going to be office space types going into retail, right? So as much as you don't like it, out of our top 5, we're seeing a lot more, 4 out of the 5 being in office and retail spaces than they are in industrial and warehousing, right? And of course, number 5 is our professional services. They can often be on second level, third level, or in a hub with other, say, psychologists and another type of allied health services, because they're trying to service that same market, essentially the aging population needing financial planning, needing retirement, needing more services around being able to help them retire, growing their wealth and everything else, right? So if you're looking for a property with a secure tenant, you can use my top 5 of the tenants that are evergreen. Look for those. But in what area, what kind of yield? Well, click in, book in for a strategy session, and my team will tell you where you should be looking for those type of tenants. Hopefully this video has been great for you. Make sure you click subscribe and hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next video where I'm going to show you some case studies of these 5 type of tenants and what they should look like and how you should invest in them. So make sure you tune in.